Thunder Rolling in the Mountains by Scott Odell and Elizabeth Hall. Chapter 17. The morning air was cold with a hint of snow. Clouds gathered in the sky. We began to pack our things. Some people sat by their fires. They chewed on buffalo meat from last night's feast. Bending Willow was in the arms of Deer Woman having her morning milk. Children played games beside the stream with sticks and balls of mud. We were happy with the thought that in 2 suns we would be in safe country. Scouts rode into camp, their braids flying behind them. "Buffalo!" they shouted. "Stampeding buffalo!" Only one thing would stampede the buffalo: blue coats. The soldiers were near. I hurried, but my fingers would not obey me. The knots in the rawhide that held the skin shelter remained fast. "Do not hurry," said a voice. Looking Glass rode by our shelter. He went from one end of the camp to another, saying, "Go slow. We have much time." I slowed down. My fingers began to work again. A short while later, I heard a shriek. It came from young Joseph, who was across the stream. He pointed at a bluff behind us. There, outlined against the morning sky, sat a warrior on a spotted horse. On his head was a war bonnet of eagle feathers. It was a Cheyenne who scouted for the Bluecoats. Young Joseph splashed through the icy water. He came out of the stream with his teeth chattering. He had lost his moccasins and wore only a shirt. I wrapped him in a buffalo robe and pushed him into a gulch. The sound of galloping horses grew loud. All the Bluecoats in the world must have been on the other side of the rise. I looked up to see soldiers riding down upon us. Bluecoats on horses spread out in 2 wide wings that circled the camp. They were led by Cheyenne scouts. People were running in every direction. My father ran towards the herd. "The horses!" he called. "Save the horses!" Warriors grabbed their rifles and got into gullies and behind rocks. Hoofbeats and gunfire made it hard to hear. Through the line of Bluecoats stampeded our horses, their eyes wide, their manes streaming. My father rode with them. He had no gun, no bow. There were white soldiers on every side of him. I held my breath. With a burst of speed, he reached us and jumped from his horse. Blood coursed down the side of his horse, but it was not the blood of my father. His guardian spirit rode with him. Chief Joseph caught a pony as it raced by. Handing me the reins, he said, "Flee, daughter, ride to the north, go to Sitting Bull." He ran to help others. I stood with the reins in my hand. Bullets flew around me. I looked for Deer Woman, but she was not there. I looked into the gully. Young Joseph crouched at the bottom. Beside him knelt a woman who was great with child. I motioned them to climb out. "Here," I said, "ride for Sitting Bull, now." Young Joseph pushed the woman on the horse and climbed up behind her. I slapped the pony and it bolted off. I saw many people grabbing horses and riding away. A woman rode by on a gray horse. A Cheyenne rode up, hoofs pounding, and grabbed her bridle. He fired his pistol. The bullet struck her in the back and she fell to the ground. Caught in a rain of bullets, horses screamed and died. I looked around for another pony, but the horses had gone. I was trapped. I leaped into the gully. Bullets passed over my head. I could not look out. I hoped that Bending Willow and Deer Woman were safe. I heard war cries and gunfire above me. The war whoops of our warriors mingled with the shouts of the white soldiers, then the fighting moved away. A warrior rolled over the edge and into the gully beside me. He landed heavily in the dirt. It was Swan Necklace. Blood covered his left arm. He had a gun in each hand. "Keep them loaded," he said. He tossed me one of the guns and a pouch of bullets. "We have pushed the Bluecoats out of our camp. Now we will fight to the death." All that day we fought pinned in the gully. The Bluecoats fired at us from behind rocks. Some shot from behind their dead horses. We were too busy to talk, but our eyes spoke for us. When the shadows fell, the firing died away. Now and again a lone rifle barked. Without the sun, the air grew even colder. Some of us were wrapped in robes, but like Swan Necklace, our warriors were stripped for battle. They fought without leggings, they had no shirt, and most had no moccasins. Wearing only breechcloths, they shivered in the cold. Snow fell silently over the land. In the gathering darkness, I peered over the edge of the gully and saw bodies strewn across the plain. Children cried with cold and fear and pain. People began to crawl across the ground, keeping flat so the soldiers would not see them. Warriors came in from the rocks and hollows. They brought news. The news was not good. Many were dead. 3 of our dead were women, and the rest were warriors. Some of our greatest warriors would fight no more. Brave Ollicott, my uncle, was dead. He had fought from behind a rock where he had killed many Bluecoats. Though when he rose to fire his rifle, he was struck in the forehead. Hull Soch was dead. His body lay on the field in front of the Bluecoats, where we could not retrieve it. Lone Bird was dead. Lean Elk was dead. These last two deaths were bitter because the bullets that killed them did not come from the Bluecoats, but from our own warriors who mistook them for Cheyenne scouts. We buried our dead, those we could reach. As we did at Big Hole, we dug shallow graves in the sides of the gullies. There was no time for a proper burial. We shoved them into the holes and covered them with earth. We had plenty of buffalo chips, but did not start fires. The light would give the Bluecoats an easy target. We shared cold buffalo and cakes of camas fruit. I did not eat, nor did most of the other women. We gave the food to the children first, then to the warriors. We had gone all day without water. 2 by 2, we crawled to the stream. We tied buffalo horn cups to rawhide and let them down into the water. When it was my turn, I gulped the icy water. It was sweeter than honey to my dry throat. No one slept that night. With camas, hooks, and knives, we dug deep trenches to shelter our people. Above the trenches, on the low bluffs, we dug shallow rifle pits for the warriors. We used pans to throw the dirt out of the holes we dug. As I dug with my camas hook, I wondered if we would ever be safe.